Okay, we've done that. So I was hoping you would,
In any event, this bill will it's simply permissive. It has the ability for, if there are protests, to conduct an election, but we obviously would prefer not to because the savings all go away. In fact, it costs more if we have to hold an election, because right now most of the members of the board are not challenged. When I was up for re-election a year ago last November, nobody filed against me. When one of my colleagues, sitting right back here, Melody, was on the ballot at the same time, nobody filed against her. We only had one challenger with 3 incumbents running, which meant we only had to pay, in that case, $75,000. If we had had all 3 running, it would have been $225,000 for that election, and the costs have inflated since.
Okay, I understand that. I just it's a landmark change in the makeup of a board like that, and I'm not from there and know all those nuances, but it's like a constitutional change, and so the makeup of the board, you're going to lose 28% of the size of the board there, and you say it's shifted from an agriculture area to more urban. So where does that leave the agricultural folks, and how are the votes done now? Is it a weighted average by area, or is it each district equal in population, and they have to keep redrawing the lines by population?
Yeah, the district is divided into 7 divisions. Each member is elected by division, and they have equal population. And the candid fact is that because of the relative lessening of the agricultural interests, it's hard to get members to run for it. I was appointed to fill a vacancy when someone resigned originally, so I served my first part of a term without being elected, and then when the term came up for election, as I said, nobody filed against me. I'm in my 2nd term and have yet to be voted on by the voters, and historically it has been the case in recent years, ever since the lack of interest reached this stage, that we've had to recruit members when a vacancy develops. People want to be able to vote, but you shouldn't have to force them to at great expense with money they don't want you to spend. And 5 people can do the job quite adequately.
All right, I appreciate what you're telling me. What is the scope of the district's responsibility? I'm sorry I don't know that already, but...
Well, it covers 78 square miles, and it has about 98,000 registered voters, which includes the county of San Bernardino, Highland, Loma Linda, Redlands, and San Bernardino.
And what are the responsibilities of the district? It's water conservation? Is it water rights?
It's largely recharging the local basin. We actually have some recharging basins below the Seven Oaks Dam, which is a real major facility, and I'm not what you'd call the best person technologically to explain all the details of how it works, but it's essentially putting water, good, clean water into the basin so that it can be used subsequently, pumped out by the various water agencies that actually sell water. We don't sell it, we recharge the basin.
So do you have a water right there, or are you just merely kind of a middle person to hold water for others while recharging before it goes somewhere?
We have a certain amount of rights, including a little bit of pre-1914 water right, but it's the district has evolved considerably as other water agencies have been created, and largely the function we feel is just making sure that there's enough water in the ground. I mean, that's our biggest function.
Where are the pre-1914 water rights? Where have they historically been allocated to, and where are they allocated to now?
Let me, if I might, ask my general manager, Mr. Kozak.
Sure, if you'd like to come forward.
Yeah.
You want to identify yourself?
Thank you. My name is Daniel Kozet. I'm the general manager of the San Bernardino Valley Water Conservation District. We hold pre-1914 rights and diversion rights on the Santa Ana River that date back 100 years. The district was formed as an association by the growers in the area at the turn of the century, and they paid for the development of the facilities we have now. That water has always been used either directly on agriculture or recharged into the ground for future use in agriculture. Most of that has been translated now to the local cities as our urban areas have taken over agriculture. So that's one of the reasons.
Willing sellers of these water rights from agriculture to urban uses?
Because the rights were held by the district all along on behalf of those growers, there wasn't a transfer between those two. The lands have been transferred and developed, but the water rights haven't. So it wasn't allocated directly to agriculture. The district has always had an agricultural and an urban water fee in accordance with its Organic Act, its code. I have a farmer bent myself, and so is agriculture getting the water that it's always asked for at this point, or does the new makeup of the board tilt it to more even a greater urban bias with the new makeup? Would it end up, instead of 5-2 or 4-3, would it end up being a 4-1 urban ratio, for example, or 5-0 perhaps, because of the way districts would be drawn? How would all that
Go
look?
ahead and answer that.
Sure.
Let me, Senator, there is no tension between urban and agricultural interests in this specific district and its functions. Most votes conducted on the board are actually unanimous votes. There, during the, let's see, what has it been now? A little over 3, almost 4 years that I've been on this board. I honestly don't recall a single instance in which there's ever been some kind of tension or division between agricultural and urban interests.
Excuse me, could I just interrupt for a second and clarify that? Would you clarify this for me? This is supported by the district,
I see.
the board. Was it unanimous?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
I guess to just finish answering your question, the Organic Act for the district that forms conservation districts specifies that the rates charged have to be 3 to 5. I'm not going to explain this well, but the rate for the agricultural charge has to be significantly less than the urban charge. That's built into what we do.
On a per acre foot basis?
On a per acre foot basis. So it's, if anything, we have a preference for agriculture, and we certainly have that agricultural history. And most of the board members over time who've represented the conservation district as elected officials have been farmers. So as a small grower of oranges myself, I'm interested in seeing agriculture, exist as long as it can in our valley.
Do you live on your farm?
Yeah, it's about 1.5 acres, so I have very little real farming. But we've kept up the historic groves and are attempting to farm in an urban area as best we can.
Okay. All right. Well, if you could certainly follow up with my office with more background, I would appreciate that for future committees and future votes. So thank you.
If I can get your vote, I live on agricultural land too. I have 1.25 acres, and I grow avocados. So.
Well, I appreciate the spirit with which you bring this here. I'm always concerned about the thought of that it would be removing a vote from the public domain into, instead of a small board making a major change like this. And so it could be seen in some views, maybe extreme, as being anti-democracy by having it go inside. And I understand the costs of it and that there's a very strong cooperation. So I'll probably sit tight today until I get more information on the bill.
Can I bring you an avocado?
Pardon?
Can I bring you an avocado?
Well, you're talking to a guy who hates guacamole, so that doesn't. But oranges or mandarins or
I actually have some oranges, so I'll bring you an orange.
Okay, moving on.
We'll swap it for rice. There's no.
I even have
issues.
kiwis. So you want some of that? And I have kumquats. So what do you want? I have plums. I have nectarines.
We can't do this.
No,
This is
we don't pesticide. No,
As much fun as this is. Moving on. Senator, any further questions?
My
Thank
husband
you,
has
Senator
red
LaMalfa.
raspberries.
All right. We still do not have a quorum. As soon as we do, we will move this item. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe you'd like to close?
Well, it's been
after all of that, or was that the close?
it's been great fun. Hope to do it again.
Soon. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 8, which is Assemblymember Perea.
Sorry.
Welcome.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I hope your item is as much fun. Welcome. Would you like to present?
Thank you. Well, I don't have any fruit to give anybody, but I have a good little speech prepared. First off, Madam Chair and Senators, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to be before you this morning. As you know, last March, sweeping changes to health care were enacted on the federal level. One notable change was the extension of health care benefits to young adults aged 26 and under. Along with the extending coverage for adult children, Congress also decided not to tax this benefit. California Senate Bill 1088 passed in 2010 required coverage of dependents through the end of the calendar year in which the child turns 26. However, this bill did not affect how California taxed this benefit. Therefore, under state law, the value of health coverage that an employer provides to the employee's adult children, not defined as a dependent, results in additional taxable income to the employees. This discrepancy has created a problem for California taxpayers and their employers. Many employers are not sure how to calculate the amount of tax to withhold from employees' income, and many parents are shocked to see the additional taxable amount in their paychecks. This discrepancy will continue to be an issue unless the legislature provides clear guidance. AB 36 will solve the problem by bringing state tax law in conformity with federal law and alleviate employer workload, as well as lighten the tax burden for parents electing to add their adult children to their health plan. I'd like to close by noting that this is a measure that has received bipartisan support. It has passed the Assembly on a 74-0 vote and has also earned the support from a very diverse group of supporters, including the California Labor Federation, California Chamber of Commerce, and the California Taxpayers Association, among others. And so I have Miriam here today that from the Revenue Tax Committee that can answer any technical questions, and we also have testimony from the California Labor Federation as well. So thank you.
All right, welcome.
Thank you. Sarah Flox from the California Labor Federation. Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This is probably one of the few, if only, issues that the Chamber of Commerce, the Labor Federation, and CalTax agree on. But the provision to add your adult children to your health coverage is certainly one of the most important and most popular provisions of the Affordable Care Act. It's certainly one of the most popular provisions among our members. CalPERS has said that it already 27,000 19 to 26-year-olds were added to their parents' health coverage this year since September 23rd. And we know that there's 1.2 million uninsured young adults under the age of 26. So this is a greatly needed provision. It certainly made our members anxious, not knowing if this benefit will be taxed. We're concerned that it will act as a deterrent of more parents adding their adult children if they know that they have to deal with the complexity of paying the taxes. And we certainly understand that it's created a huge headache for both employers and workers. So we think that this is a common sense bill. It's needed. It's needed to be enacted quickly. We thank the author, and we ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
All right. Further witnesses in support.
Good morning. Jai Suk Prasad with the California School Employees Association. We represent 212,000 classified school employees across the state in strong support.
Chair Wolk, Senators David Bala Hawkins, California Faculty Association. We represent the faculty, librarians, counselors, coaches that teach at the California State University. The average age of our student is 24 years old. So it's a major benefit for parents of those students as well as the employees of the CSU. We ask for your aye vote.
Shane Gusman on behalf of the Teamsters Unite Here, the Machinists, the Amalgamated Transit Union, and the United Food and Commercial Workers in support.
Okay.
Nick Luizos, California Association of Health Plans in support.
Okay. Further support?
Karen Lang on behalf of the boards of supervisors in the counties of Kern, Placer, Merced, and Butte for the hundreds of employees that are affected. Thank you.
Monica Nestrosa with San Diego Unified School District in support. We're one of the employers who has had great difficulty with the calculation, and also on behalf of our employees. Thank you.
Further support? Is there opposition? Witnesses in opposition? All right. Are there questions from the committee? We still do not have a quorum. Questions from the committee? All right. The recommendation will be due pass to appropriations. So if you'd like to close, when we have a committee, we'll move motions.
Great. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity, and as respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We're moving on to our last item on the agenda. Senator Corbett's here. All right, Senator Corbett, come forward. SB 134, that's item 2.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And let me first say I want to thank your staff for the excellent and thorough analysis. I've never seen a better chronology of the history of this particular issue that I'm dealing with. So thank you so much for that. SB 134 would simply give the public more information about the value of healthcare district assets that are proposed to be transferred to an outside entity for less than market value. And this is just in the case of healthcare districts. This information is crucial because these assets are public assets. The taxpayers have paid for these assets, and they are owned by the residents of that particular district. Healthcare districts are formed when citizens take the extraordinary step to assess themselves in order to ensure that they have access to a hospital in their community. These public hospitals typically serve underserved communities. In some cases, local healthcare district boards enter into a contract with a larger private healthcare system to manage the hospital. Sometimes district boards agree to transfer the district's assets to an outside entity for significantly less than the market value of that asset. Under current law, the public must approve a transfer of more than 50% of the district assets to a nonprofit corporation, but the public is not entitled to receive an objective appraisal of the true market value of those assets that are proposed to be transferred. SB 134 narrowly focuses on the issue of the public's right to know the true market value of the assets that are proposed to be transferred by doing the following. The bill would require the appraisal by an independent auditor of the fair market value of any asset that is proposed to be transferred by the district at less than fair market value. And 2, it would provide the public with information about the appraised fair market value and the consideration offered for those assets when the public is asked to approve the transfer by a vote. The analysis suggests an amendment to require the appraisal to be obtained within 120 days of transferring title to that asset, and I would love to work with the committee. I think that's a very important point. I'm glad that your consultant pointed that out. I think it would make the bill better. I'd be glad to work with your committee to improve the bill on that score. SB 134 is supported by the Association of California Healthcare Districts, and Tom Peterson is here with us today to testify in support. And, of course, I ask for your aye vote.
Okay. Before you go forward, Senator McLeod needs to make a statement following her SB 235 statement made in jest.
That nobody think that I asked for a quid pro quo. What I said to Mr. LaMalfa was in jest. Was in jest so that nobody takes it wrong. Okay?
Everything we say to him is a jest.
No, so that the public knows I'm playing.
Right, this has, right. No comments for you. I apologize. Sir, back to SB 134. Senator?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And
committee members, Tom Peterson representing the California Association of Healthcare Districts. We are in support of this bill. We see that the bill is a germane, modest, and appropriate improvement in some of the healthcare district law guidelines for the transfer of assets. We agree with the consultant's recommendation of a time-specific appraisal date for determining that value, and we would ask for your aye vote.
All right. In support? Witnesses in support? Any in opposition? All right. Are there any questions? All right. Hearing none. The recommendation of staff was just to raise that issue. Senator said that as this moves forward, you can work with our staff on that issue. Yes. We did not make a specific recommendation that it must be adopted in committee. We'll let you just work on it with our staff as
Sounds
it
good
moves
to me.
forward.
Thank you.
All right. If you'd like to close, we do not have a quorum yet. As soon as we do, we'll take action.
This is just a simple bill with a simple goal. I know you've all heard that before, but it truly is, and that is to give the public much needed information about assets that belong to them and to preserve their health care options. Thank you.
All right. As soon as we have a quorum, we will take action.
Thank you very much.
Is Assemblymember Hill. This is on the San Bruno gas explosion tax exclusion. Item 9 on the agenda. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. First of all, I want to start by thanking Chair Wolk and the committee. I truly appreciate the urgency of the item and the manner in which this was expeditiously moved forward. So thank you very much for that. AB 50 addresses a tax issue that came up as a result of the San Bruno gas explosion that killed 8 of my constituents on September 9th of 2010. As the recovery efforts began, PG&E and other entities, like the Red Cross and the City of San Bruno, began making relief payments to victims of the blast. These payments varied from a few $1,000s to $50,000 and were used to cover the day-to-day living expenses associated with moving, replacing vehicles. These are the items that had been destroyed in the explosion and fire. As a result, the victims face inflated personal income tax bills based on the appearance of a one-time cash windfall. This bill simply provides for qualified disaster treatment of relief payments associated with the explosion in San Bruno. The state is really not losing any money, since this is money that was donated as a result of the disaster and wouldn't have been there had it not been for the disaster. And I also accept the Franchise Tax Board's amendments that set September 9th, 2010 as the operative date of the bill and the tax exemption. So this bill also exempts capital gains from the home sales to PG&E following the disaster. So I respectfully ask for your aye votes.
All right, and that technical amendment will be taken in appropriations.
Okay, thank you.
All right, in support of the bill. In opposition to the bill. All right, are there any questions from the committee?
Thank you. Good bill. I appreciate you bringing this forward for relief for folks. What is the federal tax implications for at that level?
At this point, since there was no federal disaster called by the president, this income would be considered taxable by federal standards today. Congresswoman Jackie Speer is working to try and have that same exemption as that we're looking for.
Very good. All right. So, well, as soon as we can get a quorum, we'll be happy to move the bill. So.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it.
Further questions? Would you like to close?
No, just thank you so much, and respectfully ask for the aye vote. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. As soon as we get a quorum, we will move the bill. I would ask the sergeants to find me 2 members.
Thank you again.
Send out the only other item that we have on the agenda is consent calendar, which are the validating acts for the committee. There are 3 of them. They're on the consent calendar, and we're simply waiting. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry, Senator DeSaulnier. Yes, you're presenting a bill. Indeed. Thank you very much. We do have SB 186. Are you prepared to present? Okay. All right. This is kind of...
My staff's too smart.
That's just 4.
I am prepared now.
Senator Kehoe, it's good to see you. This is item number 3, SB 186, and Senator Kehoe is on a plane and has asked Senator DeSaulnier if he could present. And in fact,
I'm not sure she would consider it a compliment to be compared. So, but I appreciate it. It's a compliment to me.
You do with what you got. Go for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, we are accepting as author amendments the suggestions made in comments 2, 4, and 5 of the analysis. These will narrow the controller's discretion, shift the cost of the audits to the controller, and clarify the local charter issue. As amended, SB 186 authorizes the state controller to audit local entities if there is reason to believe that the entity is not complying with the financial requirements in state and local laws. This corrects the hole in current law that does not authorize the controller to audit how a local entity is spending its own funds. Currently, he must wait for the aggrieved city to request an audit before he can examine how funds are spent. As in the case of the City of Bell, this will likely occur after the damage has already been done to citizens and the taxpayers. To restore citizens' confidence in government, the state of California, and local government, we must give the controller the authority to audit local government sooner before there is a problem. And this bill would allow and provide for transparency and oversight that the people of California deserve and should expect. There is no known opposition. I would ask for your aye vote. And I have with us today Les Kleinberg, Jeff Brownfield, and Walter Barnes of the Controller's Office to answer any questions.
All right. Would you like to make a comment?
Les Kleinberg with the Controller's Office. We're the sponsors of the bill. We'll be happy to answer any questions. As the Senator noted, we have taken a set of authors' amendments to reflect the comments that were made.
Good. Any other comments? Witnesses in support? Quick, Lee. Come on. Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Iris Herrera with the California Special Districts Association. We currently do not have a position on the bill, but we're taking a very close look at this one and the other audit-related bills, and we look forward to continuing to work with the author.
All right. In support?
Thank you, Senator Wilk. Jean Hurst on behalf of the California State Association of Counties. We had a position of concerns. I don't want to come up when you call opposition. So we have been working both with the controller staff, Senator Kehoe staff, and the committee staff. We certainly appreciate the amendments taken, and we'll continue to work on the bill. Thank you very much.
Okay, Matt Seiberling on behalf of the State Association of County Auditors. I'll repeat everything Jean said. We're working with the state controller and his staff. Thank the committee for the thoughtful analysis, and we'll continue to work on this bill and many other germane transparency and accountability bills as the year goes on to keep a place at the table for the county auditors. Thanks.
All right. Any witnesses in opposition? All right. Hearing none. Are there questions from the committee? Senator LaMalfa.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I appreciate that there's language to narrow from the original scope of what the bill appeared to be, but I'm still just a little troubled that the language says the controller, when the controller possesses documentation that results in, a concern there, reasonably. That's still a little broad for me, and I would, obviously with Bell and a couple other things have been floating around in the state, that we need to have a better accountability system for sure. There's no question of that. But I wouldn't want the controller to have such ultimate power that they can at any time bring an audit for what may be other reasons. And I'd certainly like to see that somehow a little more defined, that the controller possesses documentation. What level of documentation do we have to rise to, so to speak, for that to engage the controller in an audit situation? What would you envision that to be, and is that something we can put into more precise language?
Senator, we'd certainly be willing to work on any kind of more defining language. We took this language at the request of the committee in order to narrow it. If there's a way of more closely refining it, we'd be happy to do that. Under existing law, there are already situations where we can go into these agencies and do either an audit or a review, but they usually take some time before we can do that. This would basically just allow us to do it sooner when we find a problem. We currently have the authority, but we have to wait until they do a report. We determine that the report's insufficient, and then we go in. So this would allow us just to do it earlier rather than waiting for their report.
You still have to wait for their. You wouldn't have to wait for their report or their own self-started report or audit or what have you.
Right.
You would. So it really does go around the ability or the requirement that there's a self report made by the city. This does go around that.
Correct. That's the purpose of this, so that we don't have to wait, because those reports come out once a year.
I understand why that would possibly be necessary, but we did hear from 3 folks here that testified that they're not against the bill or supporting it, but they have concerns, and I would imagine.
Right, and we're certainly willing to work with them on more refining language. Like I said, to this point, we've narrowed the bill twice. We're certainly willing to continue to work to make it more exact to alleviate their concerns as well.
Okay, thanks.
Senator,
happy to work with you on that.
I'm going to interrupt so that we can form a quorum. Would you please call the roll?
Wolf.
Here.
Wolf here. Puff. DeSaulnier?
Here.
DeSaulnier here. Fuller? Here. Fuller here. Hancock? Hernandez? Here. Hernandez here. Kehoe? LaMalfa? Here. LaMalfa here. Liu?
We have a quorum. We are back to questions. Senator Fuller.
I'd like to pursue that a little further. I like the direction this bill is going. I think it's probably helpful, but I'm a little concerned. I'm not exactly clear what the trigger is. So on the one hand, you're authorized already to go in, but now I'm not sure that I understand if there's probable cause. Like, what is it besides somebody gets up that morning and decides that there was a headline? I just need that comfort level of what is the trigger that goes around the process to make it faster, and how does that preserve probable cause or evidence of some kind that would be beyond what the agency would have just routinely?
Yeah, Walter Barnes. I think the issue is that we're not talking about just a phone call or necessarily a headline in a newspaper, but to the extent that we have multiple items of concerns or complaints coming about a particular locality, it's, I think, appropriate for us to take some action to contact the organization, find out more about the issue, and try to document whether or not there is an issue for us to take a look at. And in fact, that's part of the issue that we're trying to deal with now. Our basic problem is that usually our authority extends only to issues involving state funds or federal pass-through funds. But there are a number of state laws that have to do with locality activities, such as taxes and expenditures related to redevelopment and that kind of thing, which there isn't a particular authority for us to look at because it involves mostly local funding. And our feeling is that this is an opportunity for us in real time to address those issues rather than waiting, till the end of the year when either their regular audit comes out, or when their transaction report comes out, which usually doesn't come in until 6 months after the year. And so by the time we get that kind of information, are able to analyze that, we could be talking anywhere up to a year or more. And if in fact the issue is valid, it means then going back and trying to deal with that as happened in the case of Bell.
So does it say in the bill somewhere that upon multiple concerns, or where is that part? Because I think that's a good criteria.
And again, the recommendation that we got from this was to clarify that we're looking at particular financial transactions only, and that basically documentation has to be there to validate a support. I think the other issue that puts a constraint on the controller is deleting the reference to having the local government pay for the costs. I think that this is something that if the state of California wants to ensure transparency in local government activities, it should put up the funding. And so we agreed to take that amendment. So I think it's both the limiting nature of the specifics to financial transactions only, and dealing with it in terms of our own costs as opposed to passing that cost on to the local government, give us the constraints that are needed here.
So I'd like to suggest to you that I think that a financial transaction only limitation isn't enough, because you're talking about that would be their own local money, their own situation. So I think that there needs to be a trigger or a reason of multiple concerns or something else above and beyond that would give the state the reason why they were going to go into the locals on an expedited basis. And I think you're close when you get to documents, but I think the unspecified nature of what the documents are, I mean, it could be a cocktail napkin, under this definition. So I just would really like to urge you. I think this is a good bill. I think it needs to, go forward, but I think that, I really won't feel comfortable that it's not taking away local autonomy of their own funds without a little more narrowing of the specific language under the conditions or whatever the trigger is. So for that part, I'll probably be abstaining rather than voting no, with the hope that the author will continue to take amendments. And since the author isn't here, I'm assuming that the author is possibly open to more amendments. Otherwise, we'll see about it on the floor.
I will convey the comments in the spirit of the conversation today.
Thank you. And I actually think it's a good bill going in the right direction. It's just not precise enough to me to safeguard, I think, our local issues. Thank you.
No, and just speaking for myself as a principal co-author, I appreciate what you're saying. I don't think, at least for myself, we don't want to have witch hunts, but on the other hand, we want to be able to be at the head of the curve rather than after. So I think we can do that.
And I heard the sponsor of the bill, the Comptroller's Office, say that they were interested in working further on the narrowing of the criteria by which this audit would take place, these efforts would take place. So, further questions? All right, would you like to close?
I would respectfully ask for your wise aye vote.
Okay. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? This is due pass with amendments. It's been moved, and please call the roll. Aye.
Aye. Huff. DeSaulnier.
Aye.
DeSaulnier, aye. Fuller. Hancock. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Kehoe. LaMolfa. Liu.
The roll remains open. You have 3 votes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will. Actually, I would like the sergeants once again to try and find the rest of the committee, because we're at the end of our efforts here. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I will take a motion on the consent calendar. The consent calendar, it has been moved. That's item 4, 5, and 6, SB 191, 192, and 193. Please call the roll.
Wolk.
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Huff. DeSaulnier. DeSaulnier, aye. Fuller. Fuller, aye. Hancock. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Kehoe. LaMolfa. LaMolfa, aye. Liu.
And the consent calendar has 5 votes. It is out. We will leave the roll open for our colleagues as they come to the committee. We might as well go through this so that those of you who are here can leave. Let's do SB 134. Is there a motion to pass? Is there a motion? It's been moved. SB 134 do pass. Please call the roll.
Wolk.
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Huff. DeSaulnier. DeSaulnier, aye. Fuller. No. Fuller, no. Hancock. Hernandez. Hernandez, aye. Kehoe. LaMolfa. LaMolfa, no. Liu.
The vote is 3-2. The roll will remain open on that bill. Let's go to Senator Negrete McLeod's SB 235. That's item 7. Is there a motion for due pass? It's been moved. Please call the roll.
Wolk.
Aye.
Wolk, I. Huff. DeSaulnier. DeSaulnier, I. Fuller. Fuller, I. Hancock. Hernandez. Hernandez, I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Liu.
There are 4 votes. The roll will remain open. That does not have enough votes to move out of committee. AB 50, item number 9, that is Assemblymember Hill. Oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Assemblymember Perea, item number 8. That is, the motion would be due pass to appropriations. Do I have a motion? It's been moved. Please call the roll.
Wolk.
Aye.
Wolk, I. Huff. DeSaulnier. DeSaulnier, I. Fuller. Fuller, I. Hancock. Hernandez. Hernandez, I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Liu. LaMalfa, I. Liu.
I gather. We're just voting, so if we could get some of these bills. There are 5 votes. We will hold the roll open. All right. Please call the absent members while we're here.
Huff.
Who are no longer absent.
Huff.
AB 36.
AB 36.
The motion is due pass to appropriations.
Okay. Huff. Hancock. Hancock, I. Kehoe and Liu. Liu, I.
The motion is 7-0. It will remain open for our vice chair. We will now move to item number 9, which is Assemblymember Hill, AB 50. It's been moved. Please call the roll. The motion is to pass.
Wolk.
Aye.
Wolk, I. Huff. DeSaulnier. DeSaulnier, I. Fuller. Fuller, I. Hancock. Hancock, I. Hernandez. Hernandez, I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. LaMalfa, I. Liu. Liu, I.
7-0. That bill will move out, but we will hold it open for a few minutes yet. All right, let's go back and pick up our members who have arrived. For your information, SB 46 was removed from the calendar at the author's request. We'll move to SB 134. Corbett, would you please call the absent members?
Huff. Hancock. Hancock, I. Kehoe. Liu. Liu, I.
That bill has 5 votes. It's out, but it will remain open. Senator Kehoe's bill, SB 186. The motion is due pass with as amended to appropriations. Please call the absent members.
Huff.
Or present members.
Fuller.
This is Senator Kehoe's 186, the one about the controller. Abstain.
Hancock. Hancock, I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Liu. Liu, I.
All right, that has 5 votes, enough to move out. We will hold it open, however. Consent calendar. Please call the absent members. 3 bills, 191, 192, and 193.
Huff. Hancock. Hancock, I. Kehoe. Liu. Liu, I.
7-0, that is out, and we will await, well, it was out before. We will just keep it open for our vice chair. 8, did that. So that's it.
I think they need to add on to Negretti McLeod.
Which one? To Negretti McLeod? All right. Item number 7, SB 235. Call the non-voting member.
Huff. Hancock. Hancock, I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. Liu. Liu, I.
6-0. That bill is out. It will wait. We will keep it open until our Senator Huff has a chance to vote. So I think that Perea is finished. Item 8. All right. Let's do item 8, AB 36. Assemblymember Perea's bill. Call the non-voting members.
Huff. Kehoe.
No,
Liu?
you were on. You are on. Yeah. Everyone's finished. I'll just wait here. I will stay here. If we could get some estimate as to where Senator Huff is. Yes.
talk about liabilities. School employees will be held liable if something adverse happens. We often hear this. The current law protects school employees from liability if they are acting within the context of their job. This bill puts it within the context of their job as a volunteer, so it covers them under the same liability. Does that go far enough? I'm not an attorney, I don't know. But I will tell you that's the same liability protection glucagon, you actually have to take a syringe, pull out a measured amount of drug as prescribed by a physician. You have to then take that and insert it into a buttocks or a shoulder or someplace on that child with a needle. That is not the case with this. This is a flexible tip that is approved for non-medical personnel to administer. It's been brought up that this is gross. Don't make me do this. For those employees that don't want to do this, that think it's gross, you don't have to. We wrote it that way. We want the employees that want the best for the children. We want the employees that would be shocked if they had their hands tied and not able to supply this life-saving medication. Those are the people that we want. Our bill says we can't even go person to person and ask them. You send out an email and they volunteer. We're trying to keep it from any scope of coercion because we believe this is about the kid, not about any adult that doesn't want to give it. Now, we had a parent last year come and testify about the grossness. He said, you know what? It's a fact of life. And so they walk around with a blanket over their arm wherever they go. They're in a backpack. And if a child goes into a seizure, they throw the blanket over the child. They have the security, the privacy necessary. And by the way, how is the nurse going to give this in an emergency situation, if not in the same way that a volunteer would? Why would they have any more privacy afforded to that child than a volunteer? It's the same situation. But let's get beyond the grossness. It's not about grossness or ickiness. It's about saving a child from brain damage or losing their life. We've had a lot of people commenting against this, and I don't need to draw the distinction that there was a common denominator behind every one of those speakers. But I want to contrast that with the caliber of the speakers in favor of this. You have a parent struggling, two parents struggling with this, one recently diagnosed. I should have read the credentials of my doctors. Senator Vargas, thank you for asking one of them. He's a little bit shy, but he's actually the professor of neurology and pediatrics and chief of pediatric neurology at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. Our other distinguished doctor is the director of child neurology at the University of Southern California Medical Center. These are two men in the top of their fields who've studied brain damage, who've studied neurology. They train the doctors that give these drugs out. They know this stuff forwards and backwards versus people that read off of the label what you can do and what you can't do, and then make up things over and above that. This is a very serious issue, and I do get passionate about it. You know, we want our kids to have a great education, but imagine yourself as a parent sending your child out in the unknown, not knowing whether they're going to encounter a situation, a seizure, no matter what the number is, and will somebody get there, will they respond or get there in time to give this drug? Labor unions are not my favorite allies. You know, I'm sorry. But this has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the kids. I ask for that.
Do pass as amended. Secretary, please call the roll. Not as amended. Do pass with amendments to be taken in healthcare.
There's something wrong with it. Does not tell us that we need
Lowenthal.
Aye.
Lowenthal. Aye. Brenner. Aye. Brenner. Aye. Hawkins.
Not voting.
Blakely. Blakely. Aye. Hancock. No. Hancock. No. Huff. Huff. Aye. Blue. Blue. Aye. Price. Dominion. Vargas. Vargas. Aye.
Today, under state law,
That bill has sufficient votes for passage. We're going to place it on call for the absent member. Thank you.
Senator Office, I'll be in touch.
I believe there's two bills left. Both of them are mine, so I'm going to turn the gavel over to the vice chair to take over this meeting. Probably do a better job than the chair.
First of all, we're under no delusions that this is a tough road in the legislature. You know, I think from what we've heard, the majority party does not like the idea of any kind of spending. Having said that,
present first Senate Bill 128, Modernization and High Performance Programs. Members, I'd like to first offer technical amendment to Senate Bill 128 that would delete the word school district on page 5, line 4, and insert local educational agency in its place. Members, Senate Bill 128 does two things. One, it allows career technical education construction projects to be eligible for funding under the High Performance School Program. I will say that this part of the bill was suggested to me by Senator Weiland, who really has come to me and really wanted to make sure that career technical education also have access to this. And so, although I take the responsibility that this part of the bill was suggested by Senator Weiland, it also allows the modernization projects to include high-performance systems, just as new construction projects. We are just trying to make these two compatible. The state
You start trying to do meaningful bills. Welcome back, Senator Huff. Glad to see you. All right, Senator Huff, I wanted to let you know that Senator Correa's bill has been put over at his request. At item 2, we're going to open, the roll is open, SB 134. Senator Corbett, would you call the non-voting members?
The motion is to pass. Huff? No. Huff, no. Kehoe?
5-3, and that bill is out. Moving on to item 3, which is Senator Kehoe's bill, SB 186. The recommendation was?
Motion is to do pass with amends. Huff? Fuller? Kehoe? LaMalfa?
5-0, that bill is out. Items 4, 5, and 6 are the consent calendar. Please call the non-voting members.
Motion is to do pass. Huff? Kehoe?
Senator Huff, the consent calendar? Oh, wait, I didn't get there yet. No, I didn't. No, I'm on, yes, I'm on the consent calendar. Items 4, 5, and 6. I'm just going through the file order. All right.
Huff? Huff, aye. Kehoe?
7-0, that those bills are out. Senator Negrete McLeod, item 7, SB 235. Please call the non-voting members.
Motion is to pass. Huff? Huff, aye. Kehoe?
The motion is, the vote is 7-0. That bill is out. Item 8, AB 36, Assemblymember Perea. Please. Recommendation is to pass.
Huff? Huff, aye. Kehoe?
8. The vote is 7-0. That bill is out. AB 50, which is item 9, Assemblymember Hill. Call the non-voting members.
Huff? Kehoe?
7-0, and that bill is out. That concludes our work for the day. The committee is adjourned.